Which guitar myths are preventing you from reaching the next level? Over the last 20 years, I've seen hundreds of students buy into these 5 common myths, and it stops them from seeing real growth or sometimes prevents them from even starting at all. So today, I'm going to show you what these myths are, why they're holding you back, and why you need to stop believing them. Have you ever thought to yourself, man, if I just had that really expensive guitar, it'd sound so much better? Well, you've got a bad case of gas, my friend. Gear acquisition syndrome. Now, while I can admittedly be a bit of a gear snob and fall into this trap myself, the truth is you don't need expensive gear to sound good. So let's test this out. I'm gonna play a $200 guitar and then I'm gonna play an $8,000 guitar, and I wanna see if you can guess which is which. Now, I'm a little scared to do this test, to be honest, but here we go. Okay, did you guess right? Guitar number 1 was the expensive guitar. And in case anyone was wondering, it's a Collings I-35. It's not mine, unfortunately, but I wish it was. The other guitar was an Oscar Schmidt Delta King. And fun fact, the back of the neck is completely cracked and the headstock is probably about to fall off. So that's cool. Now, I'm not gonna lie, that Collings is one of the best guitars I've ever played. I'm not gonna pretend there's no difference. The high-end guitars are just built better and they are easier to play, but the truth is the tone really comes from your fingers. I'm pretty sure that if Eric Johnson played this $200 guitar, it would sound amazing, and I'm pretty sure if I played Eric Johnson's guitar through his amp, I wouldn't sound like Eric Johnson. The biggest issue I see with cheaper guitars is sometimes the setup's not great, like the strings can be really high off the neck and it's just harder to play. But if you know someone in your area that can do a guitar setup, they should be able to get that thing playing pretty nice without breaking the bank. But you need to stop believing that you need expensive gear to sound good and just start with whatever you have or whatever you can afford, because if you fall into the trap of chasing the latest and greatest gear and thinking that the next purchase will be the one, the game changer, it's just causing you to ignore the things in your playing that are responsible for actual improvement. Now, the most common myth is actually the one that can hurt your progress the most. But before I get into that, let me tell you a story about a student I taught years ago. Let's call him Frank.
Hi, I'm Frank, and I'm a real person with a fictional name.
It was Frank's dream to be a musician. He never had time as a kid, but he picked it up later in life. But sadly, Frank had no rhythm. It was the biggest thing he struggled with, but what he did have was drive, determination, and work ethic. And for months, we worked on timing with the metronome in the lessons, and I had him practice with the metronome at home, and he would come back the next week and still have no rhythm. But then one day it clicked. It was like magic. He came into the lesson and boom, it was like perfection. All that hard work finally paid off. Now he was able to play his favorite songs, and it's true, some people pick up certain things faster than others, but don't buy into the myth that you have to be naturally talented, because I've seen that prevent people from even starting or from putting in the time it takes to see real progress. So just remember, hard work and consistency will always get results.
Well, that's great for Frank, but he probably didn't have small hands. What the heck am I supposed to do with these?
Yeah, I hear that a lot. My hands are too small to play guitar. I can't reach that fret because my hands are too small. But the truth is, your hands are not too small. Probably. I've taught hundreds of students over the years, and a lot of them were kids with small hands. The issue isn't the size of your hands, it's the position of your hand and your thumb. One small tweak can make you instantly reach more frets. So if you're working on scales, patterns, soloing type stuff, make sure your thumb isn't too high. Bring it down to about the middle of the neck and you'll be able to get way more reach. And there's a few other tweaks you can make, but I made a whole dedicated video on just that. But in the rare case that your hands actually are too small, you can just get a smaller guitar, like a 3/4 size or a parlor guitar. Or if you're playing an acoustic, you can try an electric, because those necks can be smaller and easier to wrap your fingers around, especially some Fender Strat and Ibanez necks I've played have been super thin. But for the majority of you, if you believe that, you might not practice certain things that will help you get better because you're convinced it's impossible for you, or even worse, you might not even start. So don't let that hold you back. Now, have you ever thought to yourself,
Wish I would have started when I was younger. Kids seem to pick it up so easy. You know, they always say you can't teach an old dog new tricks.
Well, that's not true. I've taught plenty of old dogs new tricks. I've had tons of adult students, even up into their 80s, and they've been able to progress just fine and play their favorite songs that they always wanted to learn. Some of them even got in bands and wrote their own music and played gigs. In my experience, the hardest thing for adults isn't a physical or mental limitation, but a time limitation. I mean, I get it. We're all busy. You're busy at work. You're trying to juggle the schedule to get the kids where they need to be. You try to stay on top of your to-do list, but it seems like every time you cross one thing off, you add 3 more. And on top of that, you just got a letter from the HOA because you have too many weeds in your garden. And since you don't check your mail, now you've only got a couple days to figure that out. I'm not bitter. But yeah, we're all busy. But with a little life experience, you've probably learned a few things that are key for progressing on an instrument, like hard work, consistency, dedication, patience. So don't think that adults can't learn guitar, because that's a limiting belief that can prevent you from even starting or give up as soon as something starts to feel challenging. The adults who do well are the ones who make time in their busy schedules to practice every day consistently. But practice alone won't make you good. In fact, it can make you worse. The most common myth, and I'm sure you've all heard it, practice makes perfect. But here's the thing, just because you practice doesn't mean you'll get better. You can actually be destroying your progress if you're not practicing the right way. If you have bad habits and you're practicing your mistakes over and over again, with that repetition, you're actually training your brain to do it that way, and it can wreck your progress or even hurt you. There's a simple system to practice productively, and it's been the single best thing for my playing, and my students that have done it have gotten music scholarships, record deals. Some of them are music teachers in public school now. It just works. And it all has to do with this marble. If you want to know what I'm talking about, so you can get real results from your practice, click on this video right here, and I'll see you there. Peace.